Hey guys, welcome back to the Psalms to God YouTube channel. I'm Ree, and I am very excited to show you guys something I've been working on lately. Recently, one of my aunts called and she invited me to participate in a Bible study program that she has been involved with for quite some time. This is my first time trying this Bible study group. I do know that I have a tendency to be particular about my Bible study groups because I tend to ask a lot of questions and I tend to go kind of deep into the study, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. But I decided to try it out because I do like Bible studies and I like meeting people and fellowshipping with people while studying the Word. So I'm hopeful that it'll be a good fit and that it'll be a good time. But I'm excited. It starts in September. And so I looked online and I was looking at, the material. And originally my aunt had said that you had to buy a book. And I thought that was kind of weird. I'm very much against people, I guess, as I call it, pimping out Jesus and just like price gouging to get money or to make money off of Christians just by selling like merchandise or things that you shouldn't really have to sell. Like you should be able to do a Bible study by just reading the word in theory. But I also understand that a lot of people like notes to guide them through the process, to ask the questions. And, there are costs involved. I'm not completely stupid. I do know that you have to pay for certain things. Though I also am aware that when you do things in bulk, you get discounts. So, there's some balancing in there, but I wanted to see what it was and like what this book looked like. And of course, if I did buy it, where's the money going from this book? Is it just for the printing of the book? Is it for, funding extravagant lifestyles of someone? Or is it for like mission trips? Like, all of the questions that you have when you're new to something and you're trying to figure out where your money is going. But I was pleasantly surprised. You don't actually have to buy the book. You may have to buy it if you want like a printed, like bound version. But as soon as you sign up for the class, they give you access to a PDF and you can print the PDF if you want to. The PDF even comes with something that says you have permission to print this PDF. So that is what I did. But because y'all know I'm extra and I am a journaler and a notebook maker and a hand letterer, I could not just print out a print, I think this is in like Arial font. Maybe it's Helvetica. I don't know. But I couldn't just print out a plain black and white printed document and just go with that. That was never going to work for me. So I created my own notebook from their PDF and I wanted to show you guys what I did to give you some inspiration if you're in a Bible study. You don't have to be in this Bible study, though you can probably still sign up for this Bible study if you want to. It's an international fellowship. Like I said, I haven't actually done a study with them before, so I'm not making any promises about how good or the quality of the study. I just decided to try it out. But this is the journal that I created from their PDF. Now, before I jump in and show you guys the inside, I do want to make some disclaimers about how I made this journal for anyone who is also thinking about making journals. So because this is a year-long study, there are, I think, maybe like 30 studies or so, and each one is like so many pages. At the end of the day, this book is probably like 300 pages front and back. It's a lot of paper, so it became a very thick journal. And because of that, I had to use my big boy curl coils. These are the same coils I used for the journaling Bible that I made, and I do not like these coils. They are very flimsy. If you are making bindings, if you are new to the binding world, once you get over like an inch and a half coil, they really should be metal coils, but those are expensive. They're very expensive, and it's very hard. They're very hard to find. You cannot just buy like one or 3 or something like that, or 5. Usually the smallest quantity you can get is maybe like 25 to 50, and it's very hard to find that for metal coils. In particular, I found it once. I haven't been able to find it again. For this size, I think this is the 2-inch coil, maybe 2.5-inch. The closest I could find was like 100 if you got metal, and the 100 metal coils was something like $300, and I wasn't, that's not financially feasible for me. So that's why I have plastic. It's very flimsy, as you can see. It's very easy to like scrunch this and squish it. So it doesn't make for the most stable book ever, but it works. For those of y'all who are like me and are on a budget, it works. That is why I ended up using this. If you are not, like, I use the coil because 1, I have heavy duty coil punchers, and 2, I like to bend my notebooks, around myself, and the coils allow that. But if you're making something this size and you don't want to drop money on thick coils, I would suggest using a regular 3-hole punch and putting this bad boy in like a 2-inch binder. They're cheaper, and you're not going to have this flimsiness going on. Once you start getting in the big boys, sometimes it's just more feasible to do that than to do this kind of a binding. I also could have done well, that would have been hard too. I was going to say I could have done a stitch binding. I could have done a glue bound binding or something that probably wouldn't have sat flat when I laid it. I don't have all of the materials for like glue bound, like the hard bound style. I've watched videos, but I haven't actually tried that yet. That's another option that may have been a little bit more stable. Just throwing out things about how this construction could have been better. I used a finished chipboard for the cover. I didn't feel like designing a cover. I may go back and throw some stickers on here later, but I just kind of went simple. And then I used a rounded punch to round the edges. I do this on a lot of my notebooks just because I don't like sharp corners. The bigger the notebook, the less I like sharp corners, so that's why I did it. It's not necessary. It's just an extra step that takes time. This is regular watercolor paper. I like to add watercolor paper in my books and my journals just so that I can go in and do watercolor if I would like to. Again, I don't have any sort of artistic vision for this notebook yet, so I haven't done a whole lot there. But that is what I did. And here I want to stop to go into a little bit more of disclaimer on how this notebook came to be. So this is what the actual PDF looks like. And I started out, I printed out some pages that are just straight from the PDF. And then I inserted pages for my notes and things and like discussion from the actual classes. When I went to print this notebook, I realized that, one, like I said, it's very thick. It was going to be very thick. So I didn't want to print this on my heavy duty paper. And then I made the decision that I was going to use some of my cheaper pens on it because a lot of my cheaper pens are not bleed through. It seems counterintuitive. You would think the more you pay for a pen, the less likely it is to bleed through pages. And in some cases, that's true. But in a lot of cases, it's not true because for a lot of my brush pens, they're very juicy, they're very inky, and so they put a lot of ink on the page, which causes them to bleed through or to show on the other side if you have very thin paper. So I typically use like 60-pound paper in my journals so that I can use whatever pens that I want. Here, I decided to stick exclusively to my Crayola Super Tips. They're kind of lingering in the back of the camera here. I have 120. They were only like $20. That was before inflation went crazy during COVID, so they may be more now. But you can get these at your local Walmart. You get 120 colors. It can do brush lettering. Not quite as easy as some of the more expensive pens, but it will get the job done. And then I bought some felt pens, stick a couple under here. They look like this. They are by Pen and Gear, which is a Walmart brand. I got 10 of these for, I think, $5. And they are every color that you could think of: black, red, orange, yellow, green, pink, purple. Um, I think the only color that's missing is like brown and gray. So again, a nice assortment. They don't bleed through. Very simple. Try to keep it simple so that I could make this kind of cheaply, but also so that I'm not thinking too much on the artistic side and thinking more on the study side. And because it's going to be a year long, I wanted to make sure that I could create something that's going to be sustainable throughout the whole study and doesn't get overwhelming. If you followed my channel and you've seen some of my throwback journals, you'll notice that sometimes I jump a little ahead and I'll come up with this like elaborate art theme, and it's really pretty and I really like the first couple of pages, but I can't keep that energy all month or all week or whatever. So I wanted to go simple with something that is maintainable for this journal. Another thing you're going to notice as we start flipping through, I'm going to show you a side view before I start flipping through. But I made this notebook very colorful because I did not have any lightweight white paper when I decided to print this. I don't typically buy regular printer paper. I typically buy the thicker cardstock type paper. But I do buy colored paper for various art projects. So I decided to put that paper to use, and I printed every lesson on a different color and made me a nice little rainbow, like the rainbow that God put in the sky when he promised not to flood the earth anymore. And I decided that that was going to be the aesthetic that I gave on the side of my notebook. I really like how it turned out. And I think it'll be easy to find lessons because I don't have to sticky tab it. I can just look at the side. And anywhere where you see white is the beginning of a lesson, and the blue is the color is the corresponding lesson that goes with the preceding white. So that is the theme, I guess, so far. This is the cover page. I just printed out the introductional pages that came with the PDF. I didn't want to write all of this stuff out. I printed the pictures that they gave, and like for each lesson, I printed out whatever the text is. I did have some issues with my printer, as you can see by some of the words that are cut off, but they're still readable, they're still legible, so I didn't really worry about it. I just kept going. And then what I did was at the beginning of each lesson, I created these kind of note pages. I used dot grid. You guys know I love dot grid pages. It helps me line things up. It helps me to write straight. And then you can do like tabbing, and you can, section off the pages. You can do columns, things like that more easily. So basically I just went in, used this kind of font that I thought was kind of cool. I used Bitmoji to create month stickers. So this is a Bitmoji of myself before I cut my hair. And then, I would draw out the month. I would highlight the week that the study will be covering. So the first day, because the study is taking place, or the meetings are taking place on a Thursday, the first day of each study is going to begin on a Friday. And then you'll have day 1, day 2, et cetera, et cetera. There's things that you're supposed to read and questions you're supposed to answer each day. So I popped out like a little blurb to show what I'm supposed to be reading each day. And then instead of just printing out the PDFs questions, I actually hand wrote out the questions because I'm extra, but also because I thought it would help give me more space. And I just like adding the pops of color into it, and just to make it a little bit more creative and a little bit more of my style. So for the first meeting, I went ahead and, or for the first lesson, I should say, I went ahead and wrote out all of the questions and kind of made some space and some stylistic choices and things like that. There's stuff over here. I can't fit all of this on the camera at the same time. But, I just went ahead and got started with it so that when it's time to go, I'm already ready to use this. I did not do this all the way through because there's some ways that the study is set up that I'm not really sure how that's going to flow or how that's going to work. And I want to see how the interactions go, and how I actually end up studying the lessons before I just go out and commit to this style or this layout and do the whole book like that, because things may be a little different, and then I may change up some things as we go. I left blank pages at the end. The PDF calls it lecture notes, so I also called it lecture notes. But in all honesty, I feel like this is where like discussion notes would go. So like when we actually meet, there may be some stuff that goes in here that, maybe I think of that's not in the questions, or that maybe one of the questions go over and I add it down here. But I feel like this will really be like discussion from the actual Bible study, where somebody else brings up something interesting, or I just write out key points or things that I thought of during it, or maybe we even write out things that we need to research further, just stuff like that. And then it goes into the next lesson. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that in using the Crayola Super Tips, because it gives me so many color options, I tried to match the text, as you can tell, with the actual color that I'm using for the lesson notes, so that it'll be cohesive and that it'll go together. I also thought about doing like a contrasting color so that I would get like contrast, but ultimately I decided to just make it matchy-matchy. And so I did the same thing. Here's lesson 2. I did the heading a slightly different. It's the same style, but I changed up the coloring. You'll see that happen. More so me just playing with what I like and what I don't like than anything else. And then creating kind of a pattern out of that. So, and then again, like I said, I didn't write out all the questions for the next stuff. I will probably fill out all of that stuff at least a week beforehand so that it's ready for when I get ready to do the lesson. Or I might fill it out as I'm going. We'll see. We'll see how time goes and what happens. But that's essentially how I set up the notebook. Went in and did a couple into October. I didn't set up every single thing, but I did have fun starting these and getting at least a little preview of what the lessons look like. If you guys would like to hear more about the study as it goes in, or you want to update on the notebook, just let me know in the comments and I will be sure to come back and show you guys more as I fill it in. The last thing I want to show you guys before I cut over to video is a final page I added into the notebook, if I can get the notebook to actually cooperate with me. Again, like I said, these coils, metal coils, are where it's at. But the final page in the PDF is a quote of the last verse in Revelation. And when I printed it out, it did not look good. But of course, I will actually show you guys this so you guys know I'm not just ragging on their PDF. But my printer really didn't do a good job of printing it out. And I thought it was very apt that this is how it ended. And I wanted to include this in the journal. So I printed out. I took a black piece of paper that I had and decided to try to recreate it. It's only yellow in that image I showed you because I printed it on yellow paper. Like I said, I didn't have white paper. So originally I was going to do silver, but my silver pen dried out. So I ended up doing purple. And I ended up with this. It was a little haphazard doing this because the metallic pens that I had were basically going to the bad. So I just kind of made do. This is one thing I did not do with the Crayola Super Tips. I did have to go into my more costly pens to get this page done. But I do like how it came out. And a lot of that is just because I put it on black paper. If you put it on white paper, you could do this exact same thing with Crayola Super Tips and one of the felt pens that I showed you. And it would look just as good. I liked the blackout paper. And so I decided to give it a shot. And this is what I came up with. So this is the journal that I have for my upcoming Bible study. It starts in September. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. If you've ever done a Bible study with Bible Study Fellowship, did you enjoy it? I think, like I said, it starts in September. So if you're interested, you can probably still join. I don't, again, like I said, I don't know what it's going to be like. So don't join and be like, Ree told me it was going to be a great Bible study. Ree doesn't know. Ree is experimenting. But also, if you're just doing Bible studies with your friends or with your local church, you can also take whatever materials they give you and turn it into something of your own as well if you would like to. Were there any other things? I don't think there were any other things. So enjoy the footage of me actually drawing out some of these pages and actually going through the process of creating this. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.